नारायण
ओम नमो नारायण ओम नमो नारायण
ओम नमो नारायण ओम नमो नारायण
ओम नमो नारायण ओम नमो नारायण
केशव हरि केशव हरि केशव हरि केशव
केशव हरि केशव हरि केशव हरि केशव
माधव हरि माधव हरि माधव हरि माधव
माधव हरि माधव हरि माधव हरि माधव
गोविंद हरि गोविंद हरि गोविंद हरि गोविंद
गोविंद हरि गोविंद हरि गोविंद हरि गोविंद
ओम नमो नारायण ओम नमो नारायण
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 ओम नमो नारायण
ओम नमो नारायण
ओम नमो नारायण
ओम नमो नारायण
ओम नमो नारायण
ओम नमो नारायण
ये श्री कृष्णचंद्र भगवान की जय, सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। गोविंद 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 गिरिधारी
गोविंद 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 गिरिधारी
गोविंद 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 गिरिधारी
गोविंद 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 गिरिधारी
गोविंद गिरिधारी गोवर्धन गिरिधारी
गोविंद गिरिधारी गोवर्धन गिरिधारी
गोविंद गिरिधारी गोवर्धन गिरिधारी
गोविंद गिरिधारी गोवर्धन गिरिधारी
गोविंद 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 गिरिधारी
गोविंद 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 गिरिधारी
गोविंद गिरिधारी गोवर्धन गिरिधारी
गोविंद गिरिधारी गोवर्धन गिरिधारी
श्याम सुंदर मदन मोहन वृंदावन बिहारी
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 वृंदावन बिहारी गोवर्धन गिरिधारी
वृंदावन बिहारी गोवर्धन गिरिधारी
वृंदावन बिहारी गोवर्धन गिरिधारी
वृंदावन बिहारी गोवर्धन गिरिधारी
गोविंद 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 गिरिधारी
गोविंद 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 गिरिधारी
गोविंद 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 गिरिधारी
गोविंद 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 गिरिधारी
गोविंद गिरिधारी गोवर्धन गिरिधारी
गोविंद गिरिधारी गोवर्धन गिरिधारी
गोविंद गिरिधारी गोवर्धन गिरिधारी
गोविंद गिरिधारी गोवर्धन गिरिधारी
श्याम सुंदर मदन मोहन वृंदावन बिहारी
श्याम सुंदर मदन मोहन वृंदावन बिहारी
श्याम सुंदर मदन मोहन वृंदावन बिहारी वृंदावन बिहारी गोवर्धन गिरिधारी
वृंदावन बिहारी गोवर्धन गिरिधारी
वृंदावन बिहारी गोवर्धन गिरिधारी
वृंदावन बिहारी गोवर्धन गिरिधारी
गोविंद 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 गिरिधारी
गोविंद 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 गिरिधारी
गोविंद 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 गिरिधारी
गोविंद 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 गिरिधारी
गोविंद गिरिधारी गोविंद गिरिधारी
गोविंद गिरिधारी गोविंद गिरिधारी
बोले वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। भजमन राधे गोविंदा, भजमन राधे गोविंदा,
राधे गोविंदा,
भजमन राधे 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 गोविंदा,
भजमन गोवर्धन गिरिधारी,
भजमन गोवर्धन गिरिधारी,
भजमन गोवर्धन गिरिधारी,
भजमन गोवर्धन गिरिधारी,
भजमन वृंदावन संचारी,
भजमन वृंदावन संचारी,
भजमन वृंदावन संचारी,
भजमन वृंदावन संचारी,
भजमन राधे 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 गोविंदा,
भजमन राधे 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 गोविंदा,
भजमन राधे 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 गोविंदा,
भजमन राधे 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 गोविंदा,
भजमन राधे 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 गोविंदा,
भजमन राधे 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 गोविंदा,
भजमन यमुना तीर विहारी,
भजमन यमुना तीर विहारी,
भज
Hari Om. Can you all hear me clearly? Hope and pray that you are all doing well. We will start with the invocation, then go through Lalita Sahasranamam, and then get into today's chapter. I think we are continuing with the same chapter, 28th chapter, where Kapila Mahamuni is giving in a very detailed account as to what does it mean to be a sadhaka. What are the different kinds of sadhana that one has to be performing as a regular habit. So we'll continue on that, but first let us begin with the invocation and then go into Lalita Sahasranamam. ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. Let us begin. ॐ ऐं ह्रीं श्रीं सिन्दूरारुणविग्रहां त्रिनयनां माणिक्यमौली स्फुरत् तारानायकशेखरां स्मितमुखीमापीनवक्षोरुहां पाणिभ्यां मलिपूर्णरत्नचषकं रक्तोत्पलं बिभ्रतीं सौम्यां रत्नघटस्थरक्तचरणां ध्यायेत् परामम्बिकाम् अरुणां करुणातरङ्गिताक्षीं धृतपाशाङ्कुशपुष्पबाणचापाम् अणिमादिभिरावृतां मयूखैः अहमित्येव विभावये भवानीं ध्यायेत् पद्मासनस्थां विकसितवदनां पद्मपत्रायताक्षीं हेमाभां पीतवस्त्रां करकलितलसद्धेमपद्मां वराङ्गीं सर्वालङ्कारयुक्तां सततमभयदां भक्तनम्रां भवानीं श्रीविद्यां शान्तमूर्तिं सकलसुरनुतां सर्वसम्पत्प्रदात्रीं सकुङ्कुमविलेपनामलिकचुम्बिकस्तूरिकां समन्दहसितेक्षणां सशरचापपाशाङ्कुशाम् अशेषजनमोहिनीमरुणमाल्यभूषाम्बरां जपाकुसुमभासुरां जपविधौ स्मरेदम्बिकाम्। ॐ श्रीमाता श्रीमहाराज्ञी श्रीमत्सिंहासनेश्वरी चिदग्निकुण्डसम्भूता देवकार्यसमुद्यता उद्यद्भानुसहस्राभा चतुर्बाहुसमन्विता रागस्वरूपपाषाढ्या क्रोधाकाराङ्कुशोज्ज्वला मनोरूपेक्षुकोदण्डा पञ्चतन्मात्रसायका निजारुणप्रभापूरा मज्जद्ब्रह्माण्डमण्डला चम्पकाशोकपुन्नागसौगन्धिकलसत्कचा पुरुविन्दमणिश्रेणी कनत्कोटीरमण्डिता अष्टमी चंद्र विभ्राजदलिकस्थलशोभिता मुखचंद्रकलंकाभा मगनाभिविशेषका वदनस्मर मांगल्य गृहतोरणचिल्लिका वक्तलक्ष्मी परिवाहा चलन्मीनाभलोचना नवचंपकपुष्पाभा नासादंड विराजिता ताराकांतिरस्कारी नासाभरणभासुरा कदम्बमंजरी क्लुप्तकर्णपूरमनोहरा ताटंकयुगलीभूता तपनोडुपमण्डला पद्मरागशिलादर्शा परिभाविकपोलभूः नवविद्रुमबिम्बश्री न्यक्कारिरतनच्छदा शुद्ध विद्यांकुराकारा द्विजपंक्तिद्वयोज्ज्वला कर्पूरवीटिकामोदा समाकर्षिदिगंतरा निजसल्लाप माधुर्य विनिर्भत्सितकच्छपी मंदस्मितप्रभापूरा मज्जत्कामेशमानसा अनाकलितसादृश शिबुकश्री विराजिता कामेशबद्धमाङ्गल्य सूत्रशोभितकन्दरा कनकाङ्गदकेयूरा कमनीयभुजान्विता रत्नग्रैवेयचिन्ता कलोलमुक्ता फलान्विता कामेश्वर प्रेमरत्नमणिप्रतिपनस्तनी नाभ्यालवाल रोमाली लता फलकुचद्वयी लक्षरोमलताधार तासमुन्नेय मध्यमा स्तनभारदलन्मध्य पट्टबन्धवलित्रया अरुणारुण कौसुम्भ वस्तभा अस्वत्कटीतटी रत्नकिङ्किणीकारम्या रशनादामभूषिता कामेशज्ञात सौभाग्यमार्दवोरुद्वयान्विता माणिक्यमुकुटाकारा जानुद्वयविराजिता इन्द्रगोपपरिक्षिप्त स्मरत्तूर्णाभजङ्गिका गूढगुल्फा कूर्मपृष्ठा जयिष्णुप्रपदान्विता नखदीधिति सञ्चन्ना नमज्जनतमो गुणा पदद्वय प्रभाजाल पराकृसरोरुहा सिञ्जानमणिमञ्जीरमण्डित श्रीपदाम्बुजा मरालीमन्दगमना महालावण्यशेवधिः सर्वारुणानवद्यांगी सर्वाभरणभूषिता शिवकामेश्वराङ्कस्था शिवा स्वाधीनवल्लभा सुमेरुमध्यशृङ्गस्था श्रीमन्नगरनायिका चिन्तामणिगृहान्तस्थ पञ्चब्रह्मासनस्थिता महापद्माटवी संस्था कदम्बवनवासिनी सुधासागरमध्यस्था कामाक्षी कामदायिनी देवर्षिगणसङ्गाता स्तूयमानात्मवैभवा भण्डासुरवधोद्युक्ता शक्तिसेना समन्विता सम्पत्करी समारूढा सिन्धूरप्रसेविता अश्वारूढाधिष्ठिताश्वा कोटिकोटिभिरावृता चक्रराजरथारूढा सर्वायुधपरिष्कृता गेयचक्ररथारूढा मन्त्रिणी परिसेविता गिरिचक्ररथारूढा दण्डनाथा पुरस्कृता ज्वालामालिनिकाक्षिप्तबन्धिप्राकारमध्यगा भण्डसैन्यवधोद्युक्ता शक्तिविक्रमहर्षिता नित्यापराक्रमाटोपा निरीक्षणसमुत्सुका भण्डपुत्रवधोद्युक्ता बाला विक्रमनन्दिता मन्त्रिण्यम्बा विरचिता विशङ्कवधतोषिता विशुक्रप्राणहरणा वाराही वीर्यनन्दिता कामेश्वरमुखालोक कल्पित श्रीगणेश्वरा महागणेश निर्भिन्ना विघ्नयन्त्रप्रहर्षिता भण्डा सुरेन्द्र निर्मुक्ता शस्त्रप्रत्यस्त्रवर्षिणी कराङ्गुलिनखोत्पन्ना नारायणदशाकृतिः महापाशुपदास्त्राग्नि निर्दग्धासुरसैनिका कामेश्वरास्त्रनिर्दग्धा सभण्डासुरशून्यका ब्रह्मोपेन्द्र महेन्द्रादि देवसंस्तुतवैभवा हरनेत्राग्निसन्दग्ध कामसञ्जीवनौषधिः श्रीमद्वाग्भवकूटैक स्वरूपमुखपङ्कजा कण्ठाधक्कटिपर्यन्त कण्ठ्यकूटस्वरूपिणी शक्तिकूटैकतापन्ना कट्यधोभागधारिणी मूलमन्त्रात्मिका मूलकूटत्रयकलेवरा कुलामृतैकरसिका कुलसङ्केतपालिनी कुलाङ्गना कुलान्तस्था कौलिनी कुलयोगिनी अकुला समयान्तस्था समयाचारतत्परा मूलाधारैक निलया ब्रह्म ग्रंथि विभेदिनी मणिपूरांतरुदिता विष्णु ग्रंथि विभेदिनी आज्ञा चक्रांतरालस्था रुद्र ग्रंथि विभेदिनी सहस्रारांबुजारूढ़ा सुदासाराभिवर्षिणी तडिल्लता समरुजि षट्चक्रोपरि संस्थिता महाशक्ति कुंडलिनी विसदंतनीयसी भवानी भावनागम्या भवारण्यकुठारिका भद्रप्रिया भद्रमूर्तिर्भक्त सौभाग्यदायिनी भक्तिप्रिया भक्तिगम्या भक्तिवश्याभयापहा शांभवी शारदाराध्या शर्वाणी शर्मदायिनी शांकरी श्रीकरी साध्वी शरच्चंद्र निबानना शातोदरी शांतिमती निराधारा निरंजना निर्लेपा निर्मला नित्या निराकारा निराकुला निर्गुणा निष्कला शांता निष्कामा निरुपप्लवा नित्यमुक्ता निर्विकारा निष्प्रपंचा निराश्रया नित्यशुद्धा नित्यबुद्धा निरवध्या निरंतरा निष्कारणा निष्कलंका निरुपाधिर्निरीश्वरा नीरागारा गमथनी निर्मदामदनाशिनी निश्चिंता निरहंकारा निर्मोहा मोहनाशिनी निर्ममा ममता हंत्री निष्पापा पापनाशिनी निष्क्रोधा क्रोधशमनी निर्लोभा लोभनाशिनी निस्संशया संशयघ्नी निर्भवा भवनाशिनी निर्विकल्पा निराबाधा निर्भेदा भेदनाशिनी निर्नाशा मृत्युमथनी निष्क्रिया निष्परिग्रहा निस्तुला नीलचिकुरा निरपाया निरत्यया दुर्लभा दुर्गमा दुर्गा दुःखहंत्री सुखप्रदा दुष्टदूरा दुराचारा शमनी दोषवर्जिता सर्वज्ञा सांद्र करुणा समानाधिकवर्जिता सर्वशक्तिमयी सर्वमंगला सद्गतिप्रदा सर्वेश्वरी सर्वमयी सर्वमंत्रस्वरूपिणी सर्वयंत्रात्मिका सर्वतंत्र रूपा मनोमणि माहेश्वरी महादेवी महालक्ष्मीर्मुडप्रिया महारूपा महापूज्या महापातकनाशिनी महामाया महासत्वा महाशक्तिर्महारतिः महाभोगा महेश्वर्या महावीर्या महाबला महाबुद्धिर्महासिद्धिर्महायोगेश्वरेश्वरी महातंत्रा महामंत्रा महायंत्रा महासना महायागक्रमाराध्या महाभैरवपूजिता महेश्वर महाकल्पा महातांडव साक्षिणी महाकामेश महिषी महात्रिपुरसुंदरी चतुष्षष्ट्युपचाराढ्या चतुष्षष्टिकलामयी महाचतुष्षष्टिकोटि योगिनी गणसेविता मनुविद्या चंद्रविद्या चंद्रमंडल मध्यगा चारुरूपा चारुहासा चारुचंद्र कलाधरा चराचर जगन्नाथा चक्रराज निकेतना पार्वती पद्मनयना पद्मराग समप्रभा पंचप्रेतासनासीना पंचब्रह्मस्वरूपिणी चिन्मयी परमानंदा विज्ञान घनरूपिणी ध्यान ध्यातृध्येय रूपा धर्मा धर्म विवर्जिता विश्वरूपा जागरिणी स्वपंती तैजसात्मिका सुप्ता प्राज्ञात्मिका तुर्या सर्वावस्था विवर्जिता सृष्टिकर्त्री ब्रह्मरूपा गोप्त्री गोविंदरूपिणी संहारिणी रुद्ररूपा तिरोधानकरीश्वरी सदाशिवानुग्रहदा पंचकृत्यपरायणा भानुमंडल मध्यस्था भैरवी भगमालिनी पद्मासना भगवती पद्मनाभ सहोदरी उन्मेष निमिषोत्पन्न भुवनावली सहस्रशीर्षवदना सहस्राक्षी सहस्रपात आप ब्रह्म कीट जननी वर्णाश्रम विधायिनी निजाज्ञारूप निगमा पुण्या पुण्यफलप्रदा श्रुति सीमंत सिंदूरी कृतपादाब्जधूलिका सकलागम संदोहा शुक्ति संपुटमौक्तिका पुरुषार्थ प्रदा पूर्णा भोगिनी भुवनेश्वरी अंबिकानादि निधना हरिब्रह्मेन्द्र सेविता नारायणी नादरूपा नामरूप विवर्जिता ह्रींकारी ह्रीमती हृदया हेदोपादेय वर्जिता राजराजार्चिता राज्ञी रम्या राजीवलोचना रंजनी रमणी रस्य रणत् किंकिनी मेखला रमा राकेन्दुवदना रतिरूपा रतिप्रिया रक्षाकरी राक्षसग्नि रामा रमणलंपटा काम्या कामकलारूपा कदम्ब कुसुमप्रिया कल्याणी जगती कंदा करुणा रससागरा कलावती कलालापा कांता कादंबरी प्रिया वरदा वामनयना वारुणी मदविह्वला विश्वाधिका वेदवेद्या विंध्याचल निवासिनी विधात्री वेद जननी विष्णुमाया विलासिनी क्षेत्र स्वरूपा क्षेत्रेशी क्षेत्र क्षेत्रज्ञपालिनी क्षयवृद्धि निर्मुक्ता क्षेत्रपाल समर्चिता विजया विमला वंद्या वंदारुजनवत्सला वाग्वादिनी वामकेशी वन्यमंडलवासिनी भक्तिमत्कल्पलतिका पशुपाश विमोचनी संहृता शेषपाषंडा सदाचार प्रवर्तिका तापत्रयाग्नि संतप्त समाह्लादन चंद्रिका तरुणी तापसाराध्या तनुमध्या तमोपहा चितिस्तत्पद लक्ष्यार्था चिदेक रसरूपिणी स्वात्मानंदल विभूता ब्रह्माद्यानंद संतति परा प्रत्यक्षिति रूपा पश्यन्ति परदेवता मध्यमावैखरी रूपा भक्तमानसहंसिका कामेश्वर प्राणनाडी कृतज्ञा कामपूजिता श्रृंगार रस संपूर्णा जया जालंधर स्थिता ओड्यानपीठ निलया बिंदुमंडलवासिनी रहो यागक्रमाराध्या रहस्तर्पण तर्पिता सद्य प्रसादिनी विश्वसाक्षिणी साक्षिवर्जिता षडंग देवता युक्ता षाड्गुण्य परिपूरिता नित्यक्लिन्ना निरुपमा निर्वाण सुखदायिनी नित्या षोडशिका रूपा श्रीकंठार्ध शरीरिणी प्रभावती प्रभारूपा प्रसिद्धा परमेश्वरी मूल प्रकृतिरव्यक्ता व्यक्ता व्यक्त स्वरूपिणी व्यापिनी विविधाकारा विद्या विद्या स्वरूपिणी महाकामेश नयना कुमुदाह्लाद कौमुदी भक्तहार्दतमोभेद भानुमद्भानुसन्ततिः शिवदूती शिवाराध्या शिवमूर्ति शिवंकरी शिवप्रिया शिवपरा शिष्टेष्टा शिष्टपूजिता अप्रमेया स्वप्रकाशा मनोवाचामगोचरा चिच्छक्तिश्चेतना रूपा जडशक्तिर्जडात्मिका गायत्री व्याहृति संध्या द्विजवृंद निषेविता तत्वासना तत्वमयी पंचकोशांतरस्थिता निस्सी महिमा नित्य यौवनामदशालिनी मदगूर्णित रक्ताक्षी मदपाटलगंडभूः चंदनद्रव दिग्धांगी चांपेय कुसुम प्रिया कुशला कोमराकारा कुल्लाकुलेश्वरी कुलकुंडालया कौल मार्ग तत्पर सेविता कुमार गणनाथांब तुष्टिपुष्टिर्मतिर्धतिः शांति स्वस्तिमती कांतिर्नंदिनी विघ्ननाशिनी तेजोवती त्रिनयना लोलाक्षी कामरूपिणी मालिनी हंसिनी माता मलयाचलवासिनी सुमुखी नलिनी शुभ्रशोभना सुरनायिका कालकंठी कांतिमती क्षोभिनी सूक्ष्मरूपिणी वज्रेश्वरी वामदेवी वयोवस्था विवर्जिता सिद्धेश्वरी सिद्धविद्या सिद्धमाता यशस्विनी विशुद्धचक्र निलया रक्तवर्णा त्रिलोचना खट्वांगादि प्रहरणा वदन एकसमन्विता पायसान्न प्रिया त्वक्स्था पशुलोक भयंकरी अमृतादि महाशक्ति समृत अडाकिनीश्वरी अनाहताब्ज निलया श्यामा भावदनद्वया दंशोज्वलाक्षमालादि धरा रुधिर संस्थिता कालरात्र्यादि शक्त्योघा वृता स्निग्धौदन प्रिया महावीरेन्द्र वरदा राकिण्यंबा स्वरूपिणी मणिपूराब्ज निलया वदनत्रय संयुता वज्रादिकायुधोपेता डामर्यादिभिरावृता रक्तवर्णा मांसनिष्ठा गुणान्न प्रीतमानसा समस्त भक्त सुखदा लाकिन्यंबा स्वरूपिणी स्वाधिष्ठानां जगता चतुर्वक्त्र मनोहरा शूलाद्यायुध संपन्ना पीतवर्णातिकर्विता मेधोनिष्ठा मधुप्रीता बंधिन्यादि समन्विता दध्यन्नासक्त हृदया काकिनी रूपधारिणी मूलाधाराम्बुजारूढ़ा पंचवक्त्रास्य संस्थिता अंकुशादि प्रहरणा वरदादि निषेविता मुद्गौदनासक्त चित्ता साकिन्यंबा स्वरूपिणी आज्ञाचक्राब्ज निलया शुक्लवर्णा षडानना मज्जा संस्था हंसवती मुख्यशक्ति समन्विता हरिद्रानैक रसिका हाकिनी रूपधारिणी सहस्रदल पद्मस्था सर्ववर्णोपशोभिता सर्वायुधधरा शुक्ल संस्थिता सर्वतोमुखी सर्वौदन प्रीतचित्ता याकिन्यंबा स्वरूपिणी स्वाहा स्वधा मदिर्मेधा श्रुतिस्मृतिरनुत्तमा पुण्यकीर्ति पुण्यलभ्या पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तना पुलोमजार्चिता बंधमोचनी बद्धुरालका विमर्श रूपिणी विद्या वेदादिजगत्प्रसूः सर्वव्याधि प्रशमनी सर्वमृत्युनिवारिणी अग्रगण्या चिन्त्यरूपा कलिकल्मषनाशिनी कात्यायनी कालहंत्री कमलाक्ष निषेविता तांबूलपूरितमुखी दाडिमी कुसुमप्रभा मृगाक्षी मोहिनी मुख्या मृडा निमित्ररूपिणी नित्यतृप्ता भक्तनिधिर्नियंत्री निखिलेश्वरी मैत्र्यादिवासनालभ्या महाप्रलय साक्षिणी पराशक्ति परानिष्ठा प्रज्ञान घन रूपिणी माध्वीपानाल सामत्ता मातृका वर्ण रूपिणी महाकैलास निलया मृणाल मृददोर्लता महनीया दया मूर्तिर्महासाम्राज्यशालिनी आत्मविद्या महाविद्या श्रीविद्या कामसेविता श्री षोडशाक्षरी विद्या त्रिकूटा कामकोटिका कटाक्ष किंकरी भूता कमला कोटि सेविता शिरस्थिता चंद्रनिभा भालस्तेन्द्रधनुप्रभा हृदयस्थार विप्रख्या त्रिकोणांतरदीपिका दाक्षायनी दैत्यहंत्री दक्षयज्ञ विनाशिनी दरांदोलित दीर्घाक्षी दरहा सोज्वलन्मुखी गुरुमूर्तिर्गुणनिधिर्गोमाता गुहजन्मभूः देवेशी दंडनीतिस्था दहरा आकाशरूपिणी प्रतिपन्मुख्यरा कांति तिथिमंडलपूजिता कलात्मिका कलानाथा काव्यालाप विनोदिनी सचामररमावाणी सव्यदक्षिण सेविता आदिशक्तिरमेयात्मा परमा पावनाकृतिः अनेक कोटि ब्रह्मांड जननी दिव्य विग्रह क्लिंकारी केवला गुह्या कैवल्यपददायिनी त्रिपुरा त्रिजगद्वन्द्या त्रिमूर्तिस्थितशेश्वरी त्र्यक्षरी दिव्यगंधाढ्य सिंधूरतिलकांचिता उमा शैलेन्द्रतनया गौरी गंधर्वसेविता विश्वगर्भा स्वर्णगर्भा वरदा वागधीश्वरी ध्यानगम्या परिच्छेद्या ज्ञानदा ज्ञान विग्रह सर्ववेदांत संवेद्या सत्यानंद स्वरूपिणी लोपामुद्रार्चिता लील क्लुप्त ब्रह्मांड मंडला अदृश्यादृश्य रहिता विज्ञात्री वेद्यवर्जिता योगिनी योगदा योग्या योगानंदा युगंधरा इच्छा शक्ति ज्ञान शक्ति क्रिया शक्ति स्वरूपिणी सर्वाधारा सुप्रतिष्ठा सदसद्रूपधारिणी अष्टमूर्तिरजाजयत्री लोकयात्रा विधायिनी एकाकिनी भूमरूपा निर्द्वैताद्वैतवर्जिता अन्नदा वसुधा वृद्धा ब्रह्मात्मैक्यस्वरूपिणी बृहती ब्राह्मणी ब्राह्मी ब्रह्मानंद बलिप्रिया भाषा रूपा बृहत्सेना भावा भाव विवर्जिता सुखाराध्या शुभकरी शोभना सुलभा गतिः राजराजेश्वरी राज्यदायिनी राज्यवल्लभा राजकृपा राजपीठा निवेशद निजाश्रिता राज्यलक्ष्मी कोशनाथा चतुरंगबलेश्वरी साम्राज्यदायिनी सत्यसंधा सागर मेखला दीक्षिता दैत्य शमनी सर्वलोकावशंकरी सर्वार्थदात्री सावित्री सच्चिदानंद रूपिणी देशकाला परिच्छिन्ना सर्वगा सर्वमोहिनी सरस्वती शास्त्रमयी गुहांबा गुह्यरूपिणी सर्वोपाधि विनिर्मुक्ता सदाशिव पतिव्रता संप्रदायेश्वरी साध्वी गुरुमंडल रूपिणी कुलोत्तीर्णा भगाराध्या माया मधुमती मही गणांबा गुह्यगाराध्या कोमलांगी गुरुप्रिया स्वतंत्रा सर्वतंत्रेशी दक्षिणामूर्ति रूपिणी सनकादि समाराध्या शिवज्ञान प्रदायिनी चित्कलानंद कलिका प्रेम रूपा प्रियंकरी नाम पारायण प्रीता नंदी विद्या नटेश्वरी मिथ्या जगदधिष्ठाना मुक्तिदा मुक्ति रूपिणी लास्य प्रिया लयकरी लज्जारंभादिवंदिता भवदावसुधा वृष्टि पापारण्यदवानला दौर्भाग्यतूल वातूल जराध्वांतर विप्रभा भाग्या द्विचंद्रिका भक्त चित्तके की घना घना रोग पर्वत दंभोलिर मृत्युदारु कुठारिका महेश्वरी महाकाली महाग्रासा महाशना अपर्णा चंडिका चंड मुंडा शुरनिशोदिनी क्षराक्षरात्मिका सर्वलोकेशी विश्वधारिणी त्रिवर्गदा त्रिसुभगा त्र्यंबका त्रिगुणात्मिका स्वर्गा स्वर्गदा शुद्धा जपा पुष्प निभाकृति ओजोवती द्युतिधरा यज्ञरूपा प्रियव्रता दुराराध्या दुरादर्शा पाटली कुसुम प्रिया महती मेरुल्या मंदार कुसुम प्रभा कुसुम प्रिया वीराराध्या विराट रूपा विरजा विश्वतोमुखी प्रत्यग रूपा पराकाशा प्राणदा प्राणरूपिणी मार्तांड भैरवाराध्या मंत्रिणी न्यस्तराज्यधूः त्रिपुरेशी जयत्सेना निस्त्रैगुण्या परापरा सत्यज्ञानानंद रूपा सामरस्य परायणा कपर्दिनी कलामाला कामधुक्कामरूपिणी कलानिधे काव्यकला रसज्ञा रससेवदी पुष्टा पुरातना पूज्या पुष्करा पुष्करेक्षणा परंज्योति परंधामा परमाणु परात्परा पाशहस्ता पाशहंत्री परमंत्र विभेदिनी मूर्ता मूर्ता नित्यतृप्ता मुनिमानसहंसिका सत्यव्रता सत्यरूपा सर्वांतर्यामिनी सती ब्रह्माणी ब्रह्मजननी बहुरूपा बुधार्चिता प्रसवित्री प्रचंडाज्ञा प्रतिष्ठा प्रकटाकृति प्राणेश्वरी प्राणदात्री पंचाशत्पीठ रूपिणी विशृंखला विविक्तस्था वीरमाता वियत्प्रसूः मुकुंदा मुक्ति निलया मूल विग्रह रूपिणी भावज्ञा भवरोगग्नि भवचक्र प्रवर्तिनी छंदसारा शास्त्रसारा मंत्रसारा तलोदरी उदार कीर्ति रुद्दाम वैभव आवरण रूपिणी जन्म मृत्युजरा तप्ता जन विश्रांतिदायिनी सर्वोपनिषद उद्घुष्टा शांत्यातीत कलात्मिका गंभीरा गगनांतस्था गर्विता गानलोलुपा कल्पनारहिता काष्ठा कांता कांतार्थ विग्रहा कार्यकारण निर्मुक्ता कामकेली तरंगिता कनत कनकताटंका लीला विग्रह धारिणी अजाक्षय विनिर्मुक्ता मुग्धा क्षिप्र प्रसादिनी अंतर्मुख समाराध्या बहिर्मुख सुदुर्लभा त्रैत्रिवर्ग निलया त्रिस्था त्रिपुरमालिनी निरामया निरालंबा स्वात्मा रामा सुधाश्रुति संसार पंक निर्मग्ना समुद्धरण पंडिता यज्ञ प्रिया यज्ञकर्त्री यजमान स्वरूपिणी धर्माधारा धनाध्यक्षा धनधान्य विवर्धिनी विप्र प्रिया विप्ररूपा विश्वभ्रमणकारिणी विश्वग्रासा विद्रुमाभा वैष्णवी विष्णुरूपिणी अयो निर्यो निलया कूटस्थाकुल रूपिणी वीरगोष्ठी प्रिया वीरा नैष्कर्म्यानाद रूपिणी विज्ञान कलनाकल्या विदग्धा वैन्दवासना तत्वाधिका तत्वमयी तत्वमर्थस्वरूपिणी सामगान प्रिया सौम्या सदाशिव कुटुंबिनी सव्याप सव्य मार्गस्था सर्वापद्विनिवारिणी स्वस्था स्वभाव मधुरा धीरा धीर समर्चिता चैतन्यार्घ्य समाराध्या चैतन्य कुसुम प्रिया सदोदिता सदातुष्टा तरुणादित्य पाटला दक्षिणा दक्षिणाराध्या धरस्मेरम खाम्बुजा कौलिनी केवल अनर्घ्या कैवल्य परदायिनी स्तोत्र प्रिया स्तुतिमती शुद्धि संस्कृत वैभवा मनस्विनी मानवती महेशी मंगलाकृति विश्वमाता जगद्धात्री विशालाक्षी विरागिनी प्रगल्भा परमोदारा परामोदा मनोमयी व्योमकेशी विमानस्था वज्रिणी वामकेश्वरी पंचयज्ञ प्रिया पंचमंचाधिशायिनी पंचमी पंचभूतेशी पंचसंख्योपचारिणी शाश्वती शाश्वतैश्वर्या शर्मदा शंभुमोहिनी धरा धरसुता धन्या धर्मा धर्मिणी धर्मवर्धिनी लोकातीता गुणातीता सर्वातीता शमात्मिका बंधु कुसुम प्रख्या बाला लीला विनोदिनी सुमंगली सुखकरी सुवेशाढ्या सुवासिनी सुवासिन्यर्चन प्रीता शोभना शुद्ध मानसा बिंदु तर्पण संतुष्टा पूर्वजा त्रिपुरांबिका दश मुद्रा समाराध्या त्रिपुरा श्रीवशंकरी ज्ञान मुद्रा ज्ञानगम्या ज्ञानज्ञेय स्वरूपिणी योनि मुद्रा त्रिखंडेशी त्रिगुण अंबा त्रिकोणगा अनघाद्भुत चारित्र्य वांछिता अर्थप्रदायिनी अभ्यासादिश यज्ञाता षडध्वातीत रूपिणी अव्याज करुणामूर्तिरज्ञान अध्वांत दीपिका आबालगोपविदिता सर्वानुल्यंघ शासना श्रीचक्रराज निलया श्रीमत् त्रिपुर सुंदरी श्री शिवा शिव शक्ति रूपिणी ललितांबिका एवं श्रीललिता देव्या नाम सहस्रकं जगुः इति श्रीब्रह्माण्डपुराणे उत्तरखण्डे श्रीहयग्रीवागस्त्य संवादे श्रीललिता सहस्रनाम स्तोत्रकथनं सम्पूर्णम्. Just give me a couple of minutes. I'll be back. Can you all hear me? Thank you. Let us begin with the invocation. सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रयविनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः. यं प्रव्रजन्तमनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुः तं सर्वभूतहृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि. ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयादितरतः चार्थेष्वभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः. तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयः यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि. धर्मः प्रोज्झितकैतवोऽत्र परमः निर्मत्सराणां सतां वेद्यं वास्तवमत्र वस्तु शिवदं तापत्रयोन्मूलनम्. श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं वा परैरीश्वरः सद्यो हृद्यवरुध्यतेऽत्र कृद्भिः शुश्रूषुभिस्तक्षणात्. निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखादमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः. मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः. We are in the 28th adhyaya chapter of the Tritiya Skanda, the third canto, where Kapila Mahamuni Ji is giving a detailed account of all the sadhana that a sadhak that has to performing. When we say that, oh, I do certain sadhana, does it have this comprehensiveness? Don't try to do all of it immediately. It will be impossible. One by one, start including and start trying to practice. We had seen till the fourth or fifth shloka. Ahimsa satyamasteyam यावदर्थपरिग्रहः ब्रह्मचर्यं तपः शौचं स्वाध्यायः पुरुषार्चनं मौनं. First is maunam. So today's first. Maunam meaning to be observing silence. There are several ways this can be practiced. One thing that I can say that you should not practice is to block the entire day off, especially in the Grihastha ashrama or when you have certain responsibilities. It becomes painstakingly difficult to observe this. At least you can have on a daily basis that morning that you wake up till you have done with your sadhana, observe your maunam. Another way that we can observe maunam is that place where we have this conversational chatter that happens because everybody is saying something. I should also say something. If it is not your role and place to say something, zip it up. Maunam. More importantly is the inside chatter that happens. To be able to regulate that as well. But we have to start physically and then transcend to the inside. Then continuing, asana jaya. Asana jaya, there can be two meanings. One is to win over, to be able to sit in one posture. But then in the 8th sloka that is again mentioned, so I would take a different route of meaning here. So the asana jaya, the first thing that I would say, it is not what today we call as yoga. Its actual name should have been asana. So far what has been said, if you look at the Ashtanga Yoga, you have Yama, Niyama. Yama, Niyama have been specified. Now the Asana. Asana, daily a spiritual seeker should be doing at least couple of these yogasanas, intentionally spending about 15-20 minutes into that practice. The best I would suggest is the Surya Namaskara. Surya Namaskara always to be done in pairs. So you have 12 steps and then you do another 12 steps. That makes it a good one cycle. So like that you can do say 3, 4, 5. You have to synchronize it with your breathing pattern. One thumb rule to remember is whenever there is a bending posture, you are exhaling. Whenever there is getting back straight, then you are inhaling. Wherever there is bending, you are exhaling. So that is how you sync in with your breathing posture. And one should become efficient at doing it. Asana Jaya is to have that efficiency wherein after doing it you feel rejuvenated. After doing yogasanas, you have never done yogasana, straight go to Padmasana, do the bandhana, and tightly sit, and then you have to call everybody at home, please bring a crowbar or something to pull these legs out. Why they have been fixed? Don't overdo. Slowly build that stretchability and flexibility, and that has to be a conscious effort. So asana jaya. And then sthairyam, sthirata. Physical sthirata as well as mental sthirata. Physical sthirata, it is a louder reflection of the asthirata or the instability of the mind. But we have these habits where constantly people are there's a constant movement somewhere or the other in the body. If not that, then they'll have this kind of constant recognize it and get that sthirata in the external. Otherwise, a piece of cloth or a piece of paper or a paper and a pen and constantly sthirata. Observe it first. Become conscious of it. Otherwise, we'll keep doing. What happened? A dog bite of your cloth? No, it was me. People have that habit, unconsciously keep eating their nails or biting into something. become conscious. That sthirata has to come from the outside. Then the sthirata inside. Sthirata inside is life will bring a lot of experiences. Good ones, bad ones, ugly ones, horrifying ones, difficult ones. It's a variety of all different kinds of shades. Just like the Ugadi is celebrated with the distribution of and partaking of the, they call it pachadi. It has 6 different flavors. Similarly, life will have several different flavors. A little bit of up and down, and we feel so agitated out. Like, one of the doctors that I know works, I think still works in ER. They said, depending on the case, they know whether it is, especially the young parents, whether it is the first child or the second child or the nth child. Because first child, it is like there's a little sniffle, you rush to ER. Little, the child is and then you rush to ER. Something happened. But by the time it comes to the second child, you are more acclimatized. Okay, this is okay. In 2 days it will be fine. A little warm water with some honey or some, you have learnt it. How did you get that sthirata, that stability to not react and feel the jitters? Because of the earlier experience. So in a very jovial way, I say, though I have personally never had the experience, but my observation, the first child, when the pacifier falls down, you pick it up, take boiling water and then put it in there for 5 minutes, then cool it down and then plug it back in. Second child, when it falls, you just pick it up, dust it off, plug it back in. Your 5-second rule works. By the time it is a third child, you don't even do that dusting portion. You stare at that kid with your eyes only. You know what? Pick it up, put it back. Done. So where did you get this sthirata? Similarly with life and experiences. See, when Tenali Rama and Krishna Deva Raya, there is a lot of interaction. Once a scholarly person came and he drew a line on a board or a wall or whatever it was. He drew a line and he said, without touching it, without wiping it, without cutting it, without doing anything to that line, how can you make it shorter? So everybody tried and he kept negating it, saying, no, not this way, not that way. So when it came to Tenali Rama's turn, which was usually the last one, so he got up and took the marker or a pen, the chalk, and then drew a longer line and said, in comparison to this, that has become small. Now, the lesson that one has to learn here is, अपना कद इतना ऊंचा कीजिए कि सुनामी भी छोटा लग जाए. That is the sthirata that one has to build. That you build yourself to such a stature of resilience and firmness that even a height of a tsunami, it feels like a small incident running by. And why do you have that confidence? Is it because of arrogance? And if you want to call it arrogance, but I would say it is because I have Bhagwan on my side. तेरे पास क्या है? What do you have? मेरे पास भगवान है. So don't rush to Bhagwan saying how big your problem is. Turn around and tell your problem how big your Bhagwan is. I love that whenever Guruji says that. So if even a small little thing is creating a disturbance, it proves, it shows for one's own evaluation, where am I? How stable am I? It's not about that event, it's not about that particular incident. It is about where am I placing myself? Am I in that um, rock solid foundation of stability within? Why? Because it is founded in that nishtha of bhakti in Bhagavan. And every time I say this, it's almost like, my brother never had issues with any bully around, because all that he had to say was, "Pata hai mera bhai kaun hai?" And you know that there is somebody who will not spare a thing to protect you and is there always. The confidence with which you face things are different. You don't get bogged down by silly little things. That is the sthirata one should get. That nothing of this worldliness can bully me because Bhagavan is on my side. Otherwise, for everything, I can't do this happen, life, man, it will happen. Being a spiritual person doesn't mean that suddenly everything will go on a pause and it will be on a slow motion, that things will move in. It will go in the same pace. It's just that your speed of accepting, acclimatizing, and be able to answer it has changed because of the confidence that Bhagavan is on our side. Sthairyam. Pranajayah shanaihi. Pranajayah, to win over one's own breathing pattern. I have said this millions of times. I'll repeat it another million times probably. We are never conscious of our breathing when you go through our day-to-day life. Practice breathing effortlessly, slow inhalation and slow exhalation. Consciously do it. The moment you are able to do that, because that is the bridge, that is the connector. See, when you are riding a bullock cart or a horse cart, tanga जिसे बोलते हैं, you don't hold the horse directly, you hold the reins. Similarly, to hold the mind in a particular direction of your choice, the reins are your prana. If the prana itself is not under control, then this whole vehicle is is on a disastrous path. So all that we have to do is very simple. It's not difficult. We'll come to the later portion of the pranayama as such. Here I am talking only of the pranajaya. Pranajaya is to be consciously be able to breathe. In fact, in the Yoga Shastra, it is also mentioned that those creatures, those who have the capacity to win over their inhalation and exhalation, they live long, healthy. And the examples given are the turtles and elephants. Turtle can survive on one inhalation for several hours. No, we don't have to compete with a turtle, but at least slow down the process of that breathing. Why? Whenever mind is agitated, the breathing is agitated. Whenever the mind is calm, the breathing is calm. Now let's reverse the process. The Chinese technology. No, breathing technique is Indian, but the Chinese technology is reverse engineering everything. So let us start with the breathing. Let us control, because it is accessible, it is tangible. Mind and emotions for most of the time is not tangible. So let us access this breathing and pranajaya, win over that consciously you are breathing. Whatever you are doing, regulate it to that slow, steady pace. And you'll see that the mind is working wonders. It is more alert. It is more available. Otherwise, just about 8:30, 9:30, 10, and we are just starting the day. And already... It's not because yesterday night you did not sleep well. Every day it is the same thing. We feel tired. We feel like dragging our two cold feet. And in order to whip this up, you need coffee, you need Red Bull, you need White Bull, you need everything Bull. Pranajaya, simple. See, our yogis were such geniuses. Asana sthiraha pranajayaha. What is like? You don't have to invest anything else. It's right there happening. Become conscious of it, slow it down, regulate it, and let it go in that regulated speed. Cruise mode of awareful breathing happening. Pranajaya. Pratyaharaschendriyanam vishayan manasa hridi. Pratyahara, to be able to consciously withdraw the mind from Vishaya asakti and Vishaya bhoga asakti. Withdraw from it. There are these cravings that keep ice cream craving, chocolate craving, comfort craving, FOMO, fear of missing out, gossip craving. भेलपुरी से चटपटा क्या लगता है? Gossip. Vishaya asakti, Vishaya bhoga asakti, to consciously recognize that this is where mind is wasting its time and withdraw from it. Wherever it is my responsibility to give and do, I do it efficiently, irrespective of the fact whether it is being recognized or validated or whatever, irrespective of all of that. And my attitude towards the world, I don't want anything back from you. I am not doing this so that I can ask and demand something out of you. I don't want anything from you. The moment I want, I am creating another layer of vasana. चाहिए नहीं मेरे को ही. Whatever is it, I might देने के लिए तैयार. Who is greater? Data? Data is closer to Vidata. Or the one who is constantly asking, demanding, begging. And you may put a very good tune to it. Kaho na pyar hai, but you're begging re. Thu? Chi? Love is not begged, it is given. Anything for that matter. How do you get out of Vishya Sakti? Increase your love quotient. Give and give. But then in that we have expectation. Therefore, how long should I be giving? As long as you breathe. Paropakarartham vahanti vrikshaha, phalanti vrikshaha, vahanti nadyaha. Your breathing also should be the same way. As long as you're breathing, give. Vishayasakti will be gone. And the exuberance of independence that you feel, that nothing is binding me, nothing is bogging me down. Once I was with Guruji. This was when he had some minor surgery or something. I was serving. My job was food and other things to be prepared and serve Guruji. But there was somebody who had come and said, Swamiji, my chai banati. Okay, banao. And Guruji likes it piping hot. Like, the chai has to be piping hot. And it came cold. Like almost like 5 minutes after the boil and everything. And by the time it came, and he was like, "Oh, thanda hai baba," and he put it aside. And then he went on a rant for about 5-6 minutes as to how chai has to be made. And after that, Amma went and he finished that cup of tea. And after suddenly he was writing something, and suddenly he stops and said, "Kal se na chai band. No chai." And I was like, suddenly, like out of the blue, why? I was like perplexed. So that was a question mark, prashna chinnahatmak chehra of mine. They said, a stupid cup of tea can pull this kind of irritation? Nahi chahiye aisa tea. That is called pratyaharaschendriyanam. To withdraw from that which is bothering, which has the capacity over us to bother us. To be able to recognize it, identify it, tyajya. Nahi chahiye ja. Pratyaharaschendriyanam. But Baba, if you are one of such people who has to start your day with tea, coffee, or whatever is your hot beverage, otherwise you have severe headache, you become a headache for everybody around, please take your cup of tea. हमारे नाक में दम मत करो. Low. Now, one thing is removed off the list. At least then you can be functional. Slowly work your way. Pratyaharaschendriyanam Vishayan manasa hridi. This is how you take the Vishaya Vastu from your Hridaya. Then he says, Swadhishnayan Nama Ekadashe Manasa Pranadharanam. Now, what do you do? There are 7 chakras on the Sushumna Nadi or through the Sushumna Nadi, which is very delicately, subtly placed in the spinal cord. That is why our ancestors, our parents, our well-wishers, whenever we used to study, used to say, don't lie down and study. Sit straight. Why sit straight? So much of emphasis given. When that is a shocker for me even today, culturally, that when I go to Balavihar classes, I find these kids rolling all over the places, and the new age way of teaching, करने दो ना उनको जो कुछ करना है, तुमको पढ़ाना है पढ़ाओ. See, what is happening is the prana shakti and the shakti through these kendras, through these chakra kendra, has to go in an uninterrupted fashion, and for which the spinal cord has to be straight. Oh, how about Shavasana then? Spinal cord is straight, If while sitting, mind can have the audacity to go to sleep, in a sleeping posture, do you think it will do Harinama Smarana? It will not be alert. So it has to be awake, alert, and vigilant. Your body should be straight. Now coming back to Swadhisthana. So there are Mooladhara, Swadhisthana, Anahata, chakras. So in each one of these, there are processes of doing Shuddhi. I am not going into that in detail. But I would say, what does Pranadharana mean? One aspect of it. There are seven different stages of Pranadharana. For us who have to practice of Prana Nishtha, wherein Prana Jayaha, wherein I have to be conscious of my inhalation and exhalation and regulate it to a slow conscious breathing pattern, when that itself is difficult. Now to do Pranadharana, I would say a very very simple step is, when you breathe in, bring forth all your energies into the heart, Hridaya. As you're breathing out, pull all the energies from down and bring it to your heart. And when you do the Stambhana, Puraka, after the Puraka, there is a Rechaka. Rechaka is to hold the breath inside. You merge these two, the lower energies and the upper energies, prana, pana, samau krutva, nasabhyantara charinau. This comes in Bhagavad Gita also. So that pulling of the lower energy and the upper energy and bringing a balance in the heart, consciously done. You breathe in, imagine all the Shakti to be brought in. As you're breathing out, exhalation, you pull all the energies from the toe through the Nabhi into the heart and hold it there. Now, this balance is one of the balances. I tell you, the amount of focus that you can garner, the amount of strength and energy that you can find in just this one. From there, you can channelize it to the higher. Vaikunthalilaabhidhyanam samadhanam tathatmanaha. Then, in that composed heart of yours, now imagine that Bhagavan of Vaikuntha and his various leelas. Of those leelas, you also have the choice, variety. There was I don't know if it is still there, ice cream company called Baskin Robbins. The way they would write it is, the Baskin Robbins was itself written in the format of 32. Meaning they have 32 flavors. And that was a craze. 32 flavors. Wow. Bhagavan has infinite flavors of his avatara, Leela. 10 are most important. In the earlier chapters, we have seen several these, and we will be covering through all of them. So those avatars, this is an avatar where the son is teaching the mother. There are several avatars, all these leelas. So listen to them and then create they call it as home theater system. I would say create your own theater system in the arena of your heart, that stage of your heart. Now you envision Bhagavan. Sometimes you want to see him in a mischievous mode. Sometimes you want to see him in a loving mode. Sometimes you want to see him in whichever mode that you want to invoke him in as. Try to see that Chitrapata movie of Bhagwan. You be the director. You can even tell Bhagwan, Bhagwan, ये dialogue ना ऐसे बोलो. In your own theater inside, contemplate on the Leela of Bhagwan. Several Leelas. And that is called Samadhanam. Then, once you have achieved this on a regular basis, such a seeker, what should they do? 8th shloka. Shuchau deshe pratisthapya vijitasana asanam tasmin swasti samasina rujukaya samabhyaset. So the Shuchau deshe pratisthapya. There are people very sophisticatedly say, oh, it is not about the external, it is about the internal purity. No, the Shastra is very clear. Even the outside also should be clean. Take 2 times bath. Oh, but research says it is still growing. Okay, the researchers are still growing. Let them have their own pace. Somebody was recently telling, Swamiji, that daily bath is not a necessity. I said, don't come to this place again ever. पता नहीं कल कुछ नहा के आएगा कि नहीं. Shuchau deshe pratisthapya. Clean your place. Specifically clean Bhagwan and that area. And then you yourself are, you have cleaned yourself wearing clean washed clothes, and then sit down. Shuchau deshe pratisthapya. Then it says, how should you do the, how should you place yourself? Vijitasanam. Vijitasanam, to be in one sukhasana where sitting posture. Okay. Sukhasana, I find sukha in Yoga Nidra, Swamiji. Yes, for Nidra that is fine. But for Abhyasa of sadhana, then it is not that. You have to sit down in a straight posture where your shoulders are relaxed, but the back is straight. The head, neck, and back are in one straight alignment. And then he says, Tasmin swasti samasinam rujukaya samabhyaset. Consciously place yourself in the most balanced straight posture. Now, what happens when you are straight? When the head, neck, and the back are in one straight alignment and the shoulders are relaxed, right around the pelvic bone, the balance, taraju bolte hain usko. The balance, the needle has to be right around in the middle. That is when both sides are sama. They're equal. Similarly, this backbone is the needle which has a 360-degree movement. Right? And where should it be balancing? Right in the middle of the pelvic. 2 sides of the pelvic, right in the middle, it has to balance. And there, place yourself in a comfortable seat. Comfortable seat is Sukhasana. Asane Sukham. In that asana, there is Sukha. So sit in that posture. Simple is crisscross applesauce. जो बच्चों को सिखाते हैं ना वही. So crisscross applesauce, sit in that posture, and then do what? Pranasya shodhayen margam purakumbhaka rechakaihi. See, pranayama can be done by anybody. But then, if you are say pregnant, or if you have anxiety bouts, or if you have um, depressive, or if you have any such, this can or hypertension, low bp, those people should be avoiding it. They can do the first thing that I said, regulating the breath to slow inhalation and exhalation. That much is sufficient for them. Consciously breathing, slow intake and exhalation, that's it. But for the rest of us, here specifically he says about puraka kumbhaka rechakaihi. There are 3 stages of breathing. Okay, you breathe in, so that breathing in is called puraka. Puraka, that which fills. Pura jo kare, wo puraka. Puraka. Then the next one is rechaka. Rechaka is to exhale. Now there are 2 stages of kumbhaka. The third one is kumbhaka, and kumbhaka there are 2 types. One, antar kumbhaka, the second one is bahir kumbhaka. Antar kumbhaka is when you breathe in and hold the breath. Bahir kumbhaka is you breathe out and hold the breath outside. So 3 modes, and one of them has 2 sub steps. Puraka, rechaka. Puraka is inhalation, rechaka is exhalation. Kumbhaka is antar kumbhaka, holding it inside. Bahir kumbhaka, holding it outside. 4 step ho gaye. The best that I can suggest, or what is being indicated here, pranasya shodhayen margam. This is what is taught to even a 5-year-old when introduced to the Gayatri Sandhya Vandhana. That kid may not understand, but there is a discipline established. You hold your palm in Vishnu Mudra. The index and middle finger bent towards yourself. Can you see it? Right? This is called Vishnu Mudra. And then you place the ring finger and the pinky on your left side of the nostril, thumb on the right side of the nostril. The first step is to breathe in through the right nostril, rechaka through the right nostril. So you press the left side and then breathe in. Then hold it. And then you breathe out through the left nostril. You breathe in through the right and you breathe out through the left. And then close it. And then again, breathe now through the left side. Hold it. And then breathe out through the right. And then hold it. This whole step is called one cycle of Anuloma Viloma. So there is a count added to it. What is the count added to it? While you are breathing in, count 4. 4 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it 8 counts. Breathe out 4. And then again hold it out for 8 counts. Breathe in again through the left nostril. Hold it inside for 8 counts. Breathe out to 4 counts and hold the air out for 8 counts. That makes one cycle of Anulom Vilom. This simple. Though I have put count to it, it may appear very complicated. And when you try explaining simple things in too many steps, it will appear complicated. It is not that complicated. You're breathing in through your right, holding it, breathing out through your left. You're breathing in through your left, holding it, and you're breathing out and holding it. That's it. If you have hypertension, if you have high BP, low BP, if you have anxiety bouts, depressive, if you have, do not do this. If you are pregnant, do not do this. Am I clear? Okay. So when you practice this, pranasya shodhayen margam. Pranasya shodhayen margam. So now you practice observing it. And pratikulena va chittam yatha sthiram achanchalam. Now, having regulated the breathing, you will start observing that the chanchala, the fickleness, the wobbliness of the mind is reducing slowly and slowly. Now, the beauty is this step was given to a 5-year-old. Before even the child could begin any kind of vidyabhyasa. Why? The mind which is controlled and available is ready to soak in. We are ready to give our next generation iPhone, iPad, I pay for all of it and I provide. So that they have all the opening of opportunity to, but that which has to soak in, that has not been prepped. Even now it can be introduced to oneself first, and then we can introduce it to others. Even now, whatever age that you are in, you can start practicing it. Then mano chirat syat virajam jitashvasasya yoginaha vayavnibhyam yatha loham dhmatam tyajati vai malam. The ore, the gold ore, when it is extracted, they put it in a furnace where it has good amount of oxygen and good amount of fire. When the ore becomes liquid, what happens? The ore is heavier, so the ore settles down. All the mala, all that which is the impurity, that floats up, and that floating thing you can scoop it out. I mean, there are other chemicals that can be added to later to extract whatever is left in it in format of gold. But this simple step of the fire and the oxygenation of that particular step, the ore gets purified. Similarly, with the jnana agni and the pranayama, with these two supplied to the mind, it burns all these unnecessary patterns that keep cropping up. Our mind becomes accessible to us. Whether you are going through pain, whether you're going through loss, whether you're going through agitation, whether you're going through all of these different modes in which the mind is jumping like a monkey, can be brought in. But this is a discipline that has to be instilled, as I said, at least twice a day as a practice. Then whenever you find time, you're driving. Akele, especially in US, 90% of our time we are driving alone. Right? Instead of focusing on some radio show or phone call, you have a solid undivided time. And your eyes are watching the traffic, your hands, you've gotten, it has become your second nature. Now do all of that with conscious breathing. You will see there will be no road rage. Shanta chitta, you will experience that. Shanta chitta is the most productive mindset. Continuing. यदा मनस्वविरजं योगेन सुसमाहितः समाहितं काष्ठां भगवतो ध्यायेत् स्वनासाग्रावलोकनः. Yada manaha swavirajam. The mind has now been purified. Raja, kalmasha, the impurity. Viraja, that raja is removed, the kalmasha is removed, and now it is stabilized. That stabilized mind has to be used for dhyana. Somehow in today's world, the whole concept of dhyana has taken a very perverted outlook, that you do meditation for getting a focused mind. Bevkufu ka? It is like saying, let the flight first take off, then I will create momentum. Baba, you need that momentum to take off. You need to reach that threshold. And if you say, first let me fly and then I'll create, giroge. So this platform of stability has to be consciously created. And people are, Swamiji, my mind, I tell you, everybody's mind is like that only. Paran chikhani vyadruna swayambhuhu paran pashyati na antaratman. The way it is designed is to go outside. That is how it has been created. आपके अकेले का प्रॉब्लम नहीं है वो. There's so many thoughts. Congratulations, you have a functional mind. There's so many disturbing emotions. Amazing. You have a variety in a functional mind. That is how the mind is. Now, if you want a pleasant mind, if you want a stable mind, प्रयास तो करना पड़ेगा. Now, with this kind of a stable mind, then काष्ठां भगवतो ध्यायेत स्वनासाग्रावलोकनः. You start the meditation or doing the dhyana of Saguna Sakara Bhagavan's Murti. How that has to be done, very detailedly given. Why it has to be done, very detailedly given. But before we jump into that, in the 11th shloka, that yogi who is very serious about, sincere about sadhana, with the pranayama, they are removing the dosha of vata, pitta, kapha, which impacts the body and the mind. Antakarana, it impacts. That dosha is taken away by pranayama. With the dharana, you remove the dosha of or the impact of papa, it is reduced. Meaning the mind is strengthened in such a way that whatever is our papa charana, kukritya, the papa effect that is going to happen, it will be feeling lessened. Dharana does that. Then pratyahara will pull the mind away, weed the mind away from all the Vishaya Sakti unnecessarily entertained. When you go out into the world and interact with it, instead of looking at it as how is it going to be helpful, look at it as why is it not useful? उसकी आवश्यकता है क्या? Can I live, survive and thrive without it? Without any disturbance or craving inside. That is pratyahara. So pratyahara is practiced to remove the Vishaya Sakti. And then to remove all kinds of raga, dvesha, vasana. Bhagavan's Shri Vigraha when you meditate upon it. So continuing in the 13th shloka, Prasannavadanambojam Padmagarbharune Kshanam Nilotpaladala Shyamam Shankachakra Gadadharam. Now, this is Bhagavatam, therefore the description will be Bhagavan Vishnu and his different avatars. If you are a Devi Bhakta, then Devi Bhagavatam, Lalita Sahasranamam. Like when we started with the Lalita Sahasranamam. In the Lalita Sahasranamam, the very beginning, Sindhuraruna Vigraham Trinayanam Manikya Mauli Sphurat Taranayaka Shekharam Smitamukhim, a very pleasant smiling face. Panibhyam malipurna ratna chashakam raktotpalam bibhratim Saumyam ratna ghatasta rakta charanam dhyayet paramambikam. From head to toe, the entire description given in one shloka. But I need more details. Arunam karuna tarangitakshim dhrita pashankusha pushpa bana chapam. Arunam, just before the sunrise, the sky is lit in a golden pinkish hue. Mother looks, her face, her presence looks with that radiance. Arunam. But that kind of redness we often associate with fire. No, it is filled with compassion, karuna. Her eyes are overflowing with this karuna towards us. So when you have such descriptions, the first thing that you will observe, smita mukha, saumya, right? Similarly here, prasannavadanambojam. How is Bhagavan? Bhagavan is always in sweet, pleasant disposition. कहीं पे भी आपको, wherever you read Bhagavatam, Ramayanam, where there is not, Bhagavan in a krodha rupa. The wrath of Bhagavan. No. And that is not Hinduism. For fear of God, do something good. No. For fear of that karma coming back to bite you, do good. It is not fear of God that is instilled. Then that fellow must be cranky if he gets disturbed, agitated. तो उसमें और मेरे में फर्क क्या रहा? See, between two friends or two in a, you give or don't give, then there is a equation disturbance. I'll say I am agitated. Fine. If Bhagavan also is like that, no, Bhagavan is prasanna vadanam bhojam. He is always in a cheerful disposition. And when you learn certain art forms, painting, and there also the description is how to draw the eyes, how to draw the face, how to draw the hands and legs, and they're usually taught in a proportion of lotuses. Like the eyes are the lotus bud, the face is a blossomed lotus. Very beautifully you can say when it is described, saying that Bhagwan's face is so beautiful like a blossomed lotus. How is the color? It is like the Nilotpala Dala Shyama. Nilotpala Dala Shyama. The Utpala, that which is Neela Utpala. Neela, a bluish tinge to it. And at certain portions in the inside is pinkish also. Bluish to pink, that shade transformation that is happening. When you observe closely. So Bhagwan's palms are like, pinkish and the bluish color, and when he is holding it, you see the transition. Very beautiful with the Abhaya Hasta, Bhagwan, and he is holding Shankha Chakra Gadadharam. अपने डॉक्टर तैयार हैं. You want a lotus treatment or a Shankha treatment or a Gada treatment or a Chakra treatment? Choice is yours. How you behave, how you interact, भगवान का treatment भी उसी तरह होगा. But it is born from a cheerful disposition of compassion. The flower. Several of our experiences as a lotus, as a mrudutva, it comes into our life, awakening us. But for most of us, we need the second round of support system. Then all the well-wishers, including parents, all the friends and elders, and that guru in our life. Nada, the word, advice. That is the Shankha in our life. But then we don't wake up. In fact, we feel tortured when somebody advises us. We make them our enemy because they are advising for our good. बड़ी विचित्र psychology है अपनी. What are they advising for? Are they getting anything out of it because they have advised? In the consultation business, they get good if you advise. Here it is freely given. Probably that is why we don't value it. Freely given, and to that the nakhra is because you are pointing it at, and I am angry with you. We don't listen to the Apta Vakya. Hitokti we don't listen to. Sujana Vakya we don't listen to. Then happens Gadha. No, Gada. Of course, on the Gada, but those are our experiences. Our own experiences beat the heck out of us. When it comes back as the result, every time we complain, why this happening to me? Stand in front of the mirror. There is the answer. That is why it is happening. Am I getting across? That is the Gada. Then comes the Chakra, Kala Chakra. How long are we caught up? You have put the cloth in the washing machine. Right? As you are taking out, you see the stain. You apply the stain remover, scrub it a little, put it back. Third time you see it, the stain again you are going to throw it back in. Now the cloth complains saying, "Kab tak ragarte rahoge?" What is the answer that you will say? जब तक साफ नहीं हो जाते, जब तक सुधरोगे नहीं, तब तक घुमाते रहेंगे. Here also it is not because it is wrath, it is not because it is anger, it is not because it is to look down upon. It is an opportunity to improve upon one's own self. Isn't that the greatest compassion? Greatest forgiveness? Where we are given a room without being judged to grow upon our own lacks. Somehow we mistakenly interpret forgiving and having that compassion meaning that I should not be questioned. I should not be cornered. I should not. Our own experiences will leave us cornered. In spite of all of that, we are still being provided opportunities. That is called His grace, Ishvara Krupa. So Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. All four solutions अपने डॉक्टर के पास है. Now, how is that abhyasa of that dhyana that has to be done? Several anga, upanga, the abhushana, all of that is described through and through this chapter. We will see that last portion of this, which is the dhyana, next week. If I can call our Sushma Amma to quickly chant Hanuman Chalisa.
हरिओम स्वामी जी. श्री गुरु चरण सरोज रज निज मन मुकुर सुधारी, परनौ रघुबर बिमल जसु जो दायक फलचारि. बुद्धिहीन तनु जानिके सुमिरौ पवन कुमार, बल बुद्धि विद्या देहु मोहि हरौ कलेस विकार. जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुण सागर, जय कपि सतिहु लोक उजागर. रामदूत अतुलित बल धामा, अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा. महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी, कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी. कंचन बरन विराज सुबेसा, कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा. हाथ ब्रज और ध्वजा विराजे, कांधे मूंज जनेऊ साजे. शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन, तेज प्रताप महाजगबंदन. विद्यावान गुणियति चातुर, राम काज करिबेको आतुर. प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबेको रसिया, राम लखन सीता मन बसिया. सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सियहि दिखावा, विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा. भीम रूप धरि असुर सहारे, रामचंद्र के काज सवारे. लाए सजीवन लखन जियाए, श्री रघुबीर हरषि लाए. रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बड़ाई, तुम मम प्रिय भरतहि समभाई. सबदन तुमरो जस गावे, अस कहि श्रीपति कंठ लगावे. सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा, नारद सारद सहित अहिसा. जम कुबेर दिक्पाल चहाते, कवि कोविद कह सकै कहाते. तुम उपकार सुग्रीव कीन्हा, राम मिलाय राजपद दीना. तुमरो मंत्र विभीषण माना, लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जाना. जुग सहस्त्र योजन पर भानु लीयो ताहि मधुर फल जानु। प्रभु मुद्रिका मेलि मुख माहि जल दिलांति गए अचरज नाही। दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते सुगम अनुग्रह तुमरे तेते। राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे हो तन आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे। सब सुख लहै तुम्हारी सरना तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना। आपन तेज समारो आपे तीनों लोक हाकते कापे। भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे महावीर जब नाम सुनावे। नासे रोग हरे सब पीरा जपत निरंतर हनुमत बीरा। संकट ते हनुमान छुड़ावे मन क्रम बचन ध्यान जो लावे। सब पर राम तपस्वी राजा तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा। और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे सोई अमित जीवन फल पावे। चारों जुग परताप तुम्हारा है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा। साधु संत के तुम रखवारे असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे। अष्ट सिद्धि नवनिधि के दाता असबर दीन जानकी माता। राम रसायन तुम्हारे पासा सदा रहो रघुपति के दासा। तुम्हारे भजन राम को पावे जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे। अंत काल रघुबर पुर जाई जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त खाई। और देवता चित्त न धरई हनुमत से ई सर्व सुख करई। संकट कटे मिटे सब पीरा जो सुमिरे हनुमत बल पीरा। जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई। जो सत बार पाठ कर कोई छूटई बंदी महासुख होई। जो यह पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा होय सिद्धि साखी गौरीसा। तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा की जय नाथ हृदय डेरा की जय नाथ हृदय डेरा। पवन तनय संकट हरन मंगल मूर्ति रूप राम लखन सीता सहित हृदय बसौ सुरभूप। सियावर रामचंद्र की जय पवन सुत हनुमान की जय। उमापति महादेव की जय बोलो भाई सब संतन की जय। सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय।
Thank you so much.
हरिओम सर।
ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतङ्गमय। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ। टेक केयर।